If you're trying to become an instructional designer without spending thousands of dollars, then you're in the right place, because in this video, I'm going to show you how to make the transition by only spending $1 or less. So between the master's programs, the software, and the bootcamps, the price of becoming an instructional designer can range from a few $100s to tens of thousands of dollars. And I know not all of you have the budget to make the transition, or you're thrifty and resourceful and want to try to do it on your own. So that's why I'm making this video, to show you how you can do this for virtually free, except for the one thing that costs about $1 that you should definitely buy. So we're going to get into that later in the video. Let's dive into it. So we're going to start off by taking a look at the mindset you should have going into this and the main goal that you should have here. We're going to take a look at how you can learn the theory without a budget, how you can start developing e-learning without paying for any software at all, how to build your portfolio, again, without spending any money, how to start networking, and how to prepare your resume and prepare for the interview. So let's dive in. So the mindset is going to be important. This is probably going to be the most important takeaway from this video and the thing that will best help you land a role. So you are a problem solver. That's what hiring managers are looking for. And we know that because we're currently in the middle of our annual hiring manager survey. And the data is pointing very clearly to one thing. Hiring managers are looking for people who can use instructional design theory and science to solve real-world problems. That's the number one thing that they're looking for when they look at your portfolio. That is what they are saying is the most in-demand skill that they're looking for, and they're saying it's the most lacking in-demand skill that they're looking for. So again, it's the ability to apply instructional design theory and science to solve real-world problems. We're going to dive into that, but that's what you want to be able to show off in your portfolio, and that's what's going to help you get hired. So what you want to start doing after watching this video is looking for problems in the real world, especially in business contexts, that you can solve with learning solutions. So I dive a lot deeper into this in the portfolio project ideas video that I recorded a little while back. So check out the description for the link to that. I'm going to be referencing a handful of other videos so that this one doesn't get too long. So maybe start building out a little playlist in the tabs at the top. And these are going to help you get where you're trying to go for free. So you also want to show that you know the theory and can apply it. Again, that's what hiring managers are looking for. So on your portfolio, in your interview, you want to be talking about the theories and drawing the connections between the theory and practice. So get comfortable talking about how you can use learning solutions to solve real world problems. Again, that is key here. If you can do that, you are going to get hired as an ID, and thinking through these cases and communicating about these cases doesn't cost any money at all. So finally, you can interview friends or family members to identify these knowledge or skill gaps in their jobs. What learning solutions would help? If you get some practice doing that this week, you're going to be in a really good position to move forward with your portfolio. And again, check out that portfolio project ideas video, particularly when I talk about the flagship project idea, because I talk a lot more about how to identify these types of problems. I guess I'll also mention I have a what kind of problems do instructional designers solve video, and that may help a lot too. Okay, so your main goal that's going to help you get hired without spending any money is to create a portfolio website that shows off how you can solve real-world problems with instructional design. This doesn't have to be expensive. So your portfolio projects will be process write-ups with screenshots. Okay, we're going to take a look at how you can create those screenshots, but you're not going to need to create anything in any tools. You're not going to need to pay for any website builders. It's just going to be text and screenshots and some mock-ups that you put together. So once you have that portfolio website done with those projects on there that walk through your thinking, you're going to start networking and applying to jobs, and this is going to help you get where you want to go. So let's take a look. So when it comes to learning the theory, which you definitely should do, you need to know how to walk the walk so that you can then start applying that theory and explaining how you're applying the theory. So YouTube is free. YouTube is your best friend here. We've been working on this channel for years now with dozens of theory videos. So make sure to subscribe. We have more coming. And yeah, over the next couple of months, we're going to be posting a lot of content to help you become an instructional designer. So definitely subscribe, and then check out all of the videos we're going to link in the description to help you out with the theory. Here are the main ones you should definitely learn: ADDIE, Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation, Gagne's 9 events. You should learn how to write learning objectives with Bloom's taxonomy, and you should learn Mayer's multimedia principles. Those are the big ones. If someone's watching this and there's another one that you think is really key, then feel free to drop a comment and let us know. But these ones will get you far. And then again, I do have the Become an ID checklist that you can grab with the link in the description, and that walks you through a bit more extensively which theories you should learn, and it links to all of the YouTube videos that you should watch to learn them. So completely free. It just takes a bit of your time to go through these videos and particularly write down how you can apply these models and theories to real world problems and projects. So as you're learning about ADDIE, think through how you would apply each part of the ADDIE process to a real world project and kind of like imagine it and brainstorm through it. Same thing with Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation. Jot down an evaluation plan based on each of Kirkpatrick's levels. Same thing with Gagne's 9 events. Create a quick sample lesson plan that satisfies each of Gagne's 9 events. For the learning objectives, practice writing learning objectives for a project that you have in your mind. The more practice you can do with these theories, the better material you will have for your portfolio projects, and the better you'll be able to speak to this stuff in interviews so that you can get hired. Okay. So e-learning development, there's no denying this is a very, very in-demand skill, and most instructional designers are developing e-learning these days. So I wouldn't say to skip Articulate Storyline 360 completely. They do have a free trial, so definitely take advantage of that just so you can say you have that hands-on experience. But if budget is a big concern and you don't want to, you don't have to worry about your trial running out, you don't have to necessarily create a portfolio project with Articulate Storyline 360. Get some experience with the tool so that you know what's going on once you get hired, but you can actually use Google Slides to build some mock-ups, and then when you have your process write-up on your portfolio website, which I'll talk more about later, you can explain how that interaction would function. So again, instead of building out the full interaction in a tool like Articulate Storyline, you can imagine the interaction, you can build a mock-up for it in a tool like Google Slides, which is completely free, and then just in your process write-up or in your interview, you can look at that screenshot you created and you can explain how it would function and how you would be able to interact with it if it were fully developed. So again, you can just stop at the mock-up stage instead of going all the way through to fully developed project. Again, it might help you a bit more if you have a fully developed project. It's going to be more compelling, but if you're on a budget, especially if you're on a time crunch, screenshots and text can go a very, very long way. So if you want to learn more about the process write-up, I do have a full video on how to do process write-ups. So check that out, because if you're on a budget and you don't want to spend money on the software to develop the full projects, the process write-up is going to do the majority of your heavy lifting. It's where you're going to talk about how you're applying this different instructional design theory and science to the project, and it's where you can kind of justify the process you're using to solve a problem at hand. If you can do those two things in the process write-up, it may be more compelling than if you just had a portfolio project fully developed with no process write-up. So again, it will go a long way, especially with what hiring managers are looking for today. Okay, so once you've got your handle on the theory and you've played around with developing some e-learning, it's time to build your portfolio and start putting something together so that you can get that attention from hiring managers. So here we go. This is what you want to spend money on. Buy yourself a domain. So mine is devlinpeck.com. I recommend getting first name, last name. In most cases, that may be taken for you, or your first and or last name might be really, really long. So I have a full video on how to create your portfolio where I dive a lot deeper into choosing your domain name, but you should probably go with a domain name. And I'm going to show you a register on the next page where you can get it for 1 year for only $1. So buy a domain. Then you can use Google Sites to go ahead and actually develop your website. So this tool is completely free. There's also a tutorial that will show you how to connect your custom domain to your Google site so that it can just be devlinpeck.com, for example, instead of like sites.google.com/devlinpeck. If you want to do it for free, you can use the default Google Sites domain that they give you, but it will go much further for making your domain like easier to type in if you get a custom one more closely related to your name. And then on your portfolio, you're going to try to include 1 to 3 projects where you discuss the problem and then walk us through how you solved it with a learning solution. And this is where you'll include the screenshots if you've developed mock-ups for an e-learning solution, or you'll just kind of walk us through what the final deliverable would be, what it would look like. So again, you're really showing off your thought, your problem solving ability, and you're showing that you can use this instructional design knowledge, theory, and science to solve real problems for businesses. You can do that without spending money on any software, without even building any final deliverables, and that is going to go very far with hiring managers. So you'll also probably want to include an about page where you share more about your journey, a personal statement, so to speak, where you can talk about where you're coming from and why you are such a good fit for instructional design, as well as how you're going to be making an impact as an instructional designer. So if you want to see a really good example of this, a portfolio that someone put together very quickly, and they use the screenshots and the mockups in this way, then check out the portfolio review episode 2 that I recorded. It's from Laura Strombergson. She did a really good job at getting a website online quickly and she really leveraged these process write-ups before the full projects were complete, and she landed a really, really great remote ID role. So check out that portfolio review video to see an example of what I'm talking about for the portfolio. Here's this domain registrar, Ionos. I haven't used it before. I found it when I was researching like the best priced domain registrars. So only $1 for the first year. Another one I've used before is GoDaddy, but they make you buy 2 years up front, which comes out to like $22. So you can look around, but this one looks like it's the most affordable for that first year. All right, so when it comes to resume and interview prep, of course, it helps having experienced IDs help out with that, but you can actually use ChatGPT to help you get started with reframing your resume to make it more ID friendly or corporate ID friendly. So literally last week, Joanna recorded a video here on the channel about how to do that. So check it out, and that will be a really good starting point. General advice, use job listings to guide your word choice. Try to think about how you can reframe the language of your previous field to make it more instructional design friendly. And the job listings will help you a lot with doing that. And then, of course, research common interview questions and rehearse your responses. I just want to reiterate, we have a lot of content here on the channel to help you with both your resume and your interview. The interview is a very, very important part of this process. So step 1 is making sure you're landing the interviews. And then step 2, once you are getting those interviews rolling in, you want to make sure that you are very prepared so that you can seal the deal, so to speak. So check out that content when the time is right. Again, we'll link some stuff in the description, but you could always Google Devlin Peck interview on YouTube, and a lot of content will come up for you. All right, so networking. This one, in our survey we're conducting, a lot of the instructional designers attribute their success to networking. So it's never too early to start networking. I want to make sure you know that. Like, get on LinkedIn. Get on LinkedIn today even. Look at the LinkedIn video I've recorded here and get your LinkedIn set up and start connecting with as many people in the field as you possibly can. So send those connection requests, build your network. It's going to help you get a lot more traction in the space, and it's going to give you people that you can network with. So you can request informational interviews so that you can ask people how they landed their role, what they like or dislike about their job. Doing that sort of questioning and outreach will not only help you find a role that might be a better fit for you, or a type of role that may be a better fit for you. It's also going to help you talk the talk of the field, talking and networking with other instructional designers. And if you build a good relationship with someone in the field, they may help you by giving you feedback. They may help you by giving referrals at their company, and so on and so forth. I would say be careful with that one. You don't want to be reaching out to people expecting them to do those things, because again, a lot of instructional designers are quite busy and aren't available to help network or to help mentor people for free. But you never know. If you become friends with someone, they may be very happy to help out. And then, of course, you can engage with posts by leaving comments or create posts of your own where you work out loud, share your progress, share updates as your website develops or as you create new projects or think through new theories or concepts. So the more you can get your name out there on LinkedIn, the higher the likelihood is of your success in the field. And then finally, this one is so important. If you have access to feedback, get as much feedback as you can. Ask people that you trust if they can review your deliverables. So your portfolio, your process write-ups, your resume, so on and so forth. This may be one of the hardest things to do when you're new to the field. But if you're at the stage of hiring manager, see if they can give you some feedback. That will probably be some of the best feedback you can get if someone is vulnerable with you, a hiring manager, especially if there are peers in the field that you network with or working instructional designers who you build a relationship with. See if they would be open to taking a look at your portfolio. Same thing with coworkers if you're in a related field, or friends or family members if they have some sort of design expertise or education expertise. All of that could help, and keep in mind, you don't have to apply all of the feedback you get. I mean, that's an important skill of an instructional designer anyways, like deciding which feedback to apply and which not to apply. But just getting people's thoughts on your work will likely help you catch some things that you've missed, and it will go a long way in the hiring process. I'll also reiterate, this is like probably the main reason why people do pay for like my bootcamp especially is to get feedback. But even if you're not shelling out thousands of dollars on a program, there are other avenues for feedback. Like when I was a master's student, every day I would be coming in early to class and showing projects to my peers, seeing what they think, asking my professors what they think about projects I was working on. So there are other places you can get feedback. And my wife too, I leaned on heavily for design feedback. So don't feel lost if you're not in a program. There are other avenues, but again, this is a big draw to joining the personalized feedback programs. All right, so next steps, if you are on board with this and you want a more step-by-step guide, you can go ahead and download the Become an ID checklist. You can kind of check each thing you learn off as you go, and everything it links out to is completely free. So grab that with the link in the description or comments below. And then if you do have a budget, feel free to join us in the bootcamp. It does include personalized feedback and one-on-one support, and you can check that out at idbootcamp.com. But again, if you don't have a budget, no worries at all. There's a lot more content coming on this channel to help you make the transition for free. And we already have years worth of content to help you as well, and it's helped many people before you. So check it out. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, and we will see you in the next one.